Hello everyone, welcome on this drop-in session where we'll deep dive into responsibility matrix, and the most popular among them is the RACI one, but I will also talk about one we really like and we have as a native responsibility matrix in Skore, which is called RATSI. So what are responsibility matrix? They help defining responsibility levels against a box. So when you're describing work, you very often have many people, many roles that are involved in a given to carry out a given activity, but not with the same level. And the responsibility matrix like RACI or RATSI, another one popular is RAPID. They help defining the level of involvement of different roles, but they also serve when designing an organization to find, okay, what's the level of seniority do we need when we hire someone that has only tasks where they're expected to actually do the work will not be the same as someone who's mostly involved in having accountability or ownership or authority on the task. So it's a very good information to have in when designing processes. Skore integrates the ability to capture RACI and RATSI and all the metrics you want to customize very easily, so you don't have to have separate documents for the process and the RACI metrics. If you've done that in the past, you've maybe seen one of these Excel documents which is disconnected from the actual diagram, which makes them very hard to maintain. Because you will be very tempted to make a change here, but it won't be reflected in the process. Whereas in Skore, we do everything in the same diagram, and then we can export these reports to take a snapshot to export, but all the updates would take place in Skore itself directly. So in terms of who is involved in, we have the workshop participants. That's mostly where you have a big conversation around, all right, it should be an R and A. And this is usually very, very valuable conversations that you'll have here on the roles, sometimes even more entertaining, if I can say like that, even more active, heated than capturing the work itself, because this can really touches really on people and their skills and what the span of control they will have in the new process. As a process editor, as a business analyst, making the process, you will be facilitating this conversation. So it's good to have some clear rules. We'll talk about that just below. The results of this RACI matrix may be interested for everyone, but in particular HR when creating new job descriptions. If you are in designing a new future process where you need to recruit, HR will be involved. And ultimately, the process owner, as always, is this person must have 100% good understanding and buy-in of what you have mapped for him or her. So what is the RACI? Let's look at an example right now. So this is a process in Skore, the marketing process with the RACI tags. So here we can see that the planned campaigns activity has two roles, one with an A, and A in RACI stands for accountability, and one with R for responsibility, and then essentially the same responsibility at this top level, which is quite common at a very high level that responsibilities are repeating themselves, but when we go in the details, we can see more and more roles involved. And as we can see here in Skore, we are capturing, let me go to edit mode to show you exactly how it works and how easy it is. We are capturing the RACI information directly on the process while we are capturing the process. So very powerful. You do it as part of the same exercise, and if you need to refine the text of the activity or change the role, it's very easy. So this is how RACI works in Skore. So these RACI, they stand for, for accountability, responsibility, consulted, and informed. And what I recommend you doing is, before you engage in an exercise where you will use RACI, is to redefine exactly for your organization what it means. So you can take the definition from, if you're using RACI from Wikipedia, there's nothing wrong about it. But you see, what was interesting is that even them, they rename, they propose alternative name for responsible or accountable with approver. In RATSI, it means authority. So that's interesting that even themselves here in this article, crowdsourced article, they have different definitions. So the most important for me to redefine is accountability, especially if you're working with brain people like me, accountability doesn't really have a really good translation in most European language except English. So I took a screenshot here of the dictionary translation for French, and you see that it translates directly to responsibility. So responsibility is the same in Spanish, Italian, German as well. So there's no real one-to-one single word translation for accountability. So this may be very good if you have an international audience to redefine. One of the definition that I took from a customer. So accountability has ownership of the work, make sure it happens, but not involved in the actual work. Okay, and responsibility to the work. I have seen customers that were defining accountability and responsibility the literal opposite way of that. So the accountability does the work and the responsibility has the ownership. So make sure it's very super clearly defined in your project. This is why I quite like the RATSI approach, which is the second one, which is built into Skore. Even though in Skore you can create your own responsibility matrix, the second one, which is built in, is RATSI. RATSI first doesn't use accountability. I was using that as part of a very international organization where we understood the limit of RACI very, very quickly. So responsibility, authority, A for authority, final ownership, responsibility, ensure the work is done, and task does the work. So very, very clear, crystal clear definition. And in our case, it worked very well. Then we have supports and inform that are a bit optional. We were not using them in all the time. On top of the actual definition, what's good for you as a process mapper editing the process maps to have a couple of rules to ensure consistency. So, for example, here for RACI, we must have 1A per authority accountability per box. We should have maximum 1 R per box, so 1, but we could have more. Consulted, if always involved, it's an R. Okay, saying, all right, we don't want to have C, but if it takes time to the people, it should be an R. So a little rule like that, and informed, you could define it if you want. For RATSI, the one we were using is A to give it even more weight. We were using the A only where decisions had to be taken. So that was a design decision to only use authority on design box. On box with decisions, which is challenged. You can do it differently. 1 hour per box. That's the recommendation. Sometimes you have more, but we want to keep it very clear, give a clear guidance, 1 hour per box. At least 1 T can be the same as R. And then the S, we said, all right, if we are expecting this person to be involved all the time, it's not support, it's actually the T. So we were very quick at upgrading people to a T rather than having S. S are really optional, right? The big mega projects or super complex things, or I don't know, a project that we spammed in many countries and things like that. And then the other internal rule we had that if someone was already with an A or T, they were implicitly an S, and they were also implicitly an I because they were already named. So we wouldn't tag them as I to not overload visually the boxes. But these are choices we made that have, you can adopt them or not. So I really stress this point of redefining the RACI within your organization. Let's go back to the process. We are mapping the processes. We have agreed. Also, what we agreed is to put the A first and then the R, just having a sort of a natural order of the boxes for readability. But this can be, we can put that in another order, doesn't really matter. We've captured the RACI everywhere at all the levels. What we usually recommend in Skore in general, not necessarily for RACI, is to first do a first pass in mapping the process, just the work that needs to be done, focusing on the what happens part of the what box, the top part, leaving the who does it blank. So that you can have a first conversation, which is really focused on what do we need to get done as an organization. And then you do a second pass for the roles assigned, allocating the roles to the activity. What I recommend on top of that for RACI is focus first on RNA in the first discussion, or particularly for what I mean is most relevant for RATSI because you have a bit more tags. But do a first iteration with RNA and then CNI, doing 2 passes to not get too long conversations on CNI, where RNA matter the most. What we did for RATSI is we did three iterations. So just the A identifying, and again in my project, for the biggest project I had with RATSI, A was really for authority and decision boxes. So we focus specifically on A first, identifying boxes where a decision is made, and then allocating the A, the authority. And then we were doing RNT, and if required, if the context was right, we were doing SNI. But in most cases, we just ignored SNI in our case. So don't be shy about ignoring one of the tags, one of the keys, if necessary. For RACI, I was working in a French factory. They decided to adopt, basically it was RCA, because they couldn't define accountability and responsibility clearly, to my point earlier with the definition. So they just decided to ignore the A altogether and have RCA, which served them quite well. What you can do next in Skore is in real time, when you're capturing your processes, and in real time, what you can do is having a look at the job descriptions. So first, the role overview. When I'm going to the role manager here, I can see, okay, I have allocated 9 A's, 27 R, a couple of I's, a couple of C's. We can see the spread. Okay, I have 3 people having some sort of accountability level in my process. I'm not saying it's good or bad, 3. I'm not saying it's too little or it's too much. You decide, but that's interesting. I found that the head of marketing obviously is the most involved role, followed by the marketing director, and then once the head of digital. It could be interesting to challenge what's the activity where this person has an authority, where the other 2 roles involved are these ones. So just Skore, as always, surfaces information, up to you to decide what you do with it. With there are a bit more people, obviously, and then here we have the CNI. I will skip that for now. So surfaces information gives you insights, very good. Let's look at the role specifically. I will go for the marketing director in particular. And here I can see that this role is involved at the A level most of the time. I think we have this view as a chart here, 3 A's and 1 C. It looks a bit like an oddity, all right? So why I have produced video and image, where this is very high level, plan campaigns, approve campaigns, and then produce video. I'm clicking on it to jump directly to this box, and I see, all right, actually, why is this person, the marketing director, involved here? That doesn't make any sense at all. It creates a weird job description, so I can remove this person. So I threw this thing just as an example of looking at doing a sanity checks on the roles, having a consistency of the levels of involvement they have on a process. If it's a new role that you need to recruit, it will really inform you on the type of person you need to find, and the whole role description that you have here gives you information on what to do. So a lot of accountability. When I look at the suppliers and customers, so the roles this person interacts with, I see they interact with other people that are head of. This is the marketing. So we can see already that's a political role in quotes, someone that deals with decision making, with managing, working with the other heads of departments. So that informs me on the kind of person I want to recruit for this kind of job. So that's what's great here, that it's generated in live. So if I'm making a change to the process, it will be shown here directly. Voila. So yeah, check the balance and coherence of a role. Very important. Okay, so that's the main part I wanted to show you around RACI. Now I will show you 2 things, and then so how to enable it on a process if it's not enabled yet. So you can enable it here. I will just expand this menu, map properties. Okay, the little map icon, map properties, and it's called responsibility model. Okay, and here you can choose. We have Rapid built in as well. So RACI, RATSI, and Rapid are built in. Be aware that if you're changing the model, if it already exists, it will lose all the tags. You need to create them again. So do it early in the process, not too late. So here we have RACI. The last thing I will show you, you can have a default. I'm going into the admin space, responsibility model. So here, a couple of things. First, I can define which one I want as a default when a new process is created. So for me, it's RACI in this workspace. But also you can create a new responsibility definition. So you can create your own definition to have your own letters if you're using another model than the outside of the three that are proposed out of the box. All right, that's for my little presentation. All right, so these drop-ins happen every week at 4 o'clock UK time. Yeah, thank you for joining. Good attendance today. Thank you, everyone. All the videos of this drop-in and the previous are on our YouTube channel, and so they can all be found.